foregone payments and interest. We have some major news. There are upcoming changes to Social Security, and it may take effect sooner than we expected. As Social Security is adjusted on an annual basis, lawmakers are working together to improve the program. On one hand, bigger monthly payouts may arrive for many beneficiaries, but a certain group of people could see their tax liability increase. For over 49 million retired workers who depend on Social Security benefits, the program is a vital financial lifeline that helps cover their monthly expenses. This retirement program has a significant impact, lifting more than 20 million people out of poverty. It includes 15 million individuals aged 65 and above. But Social Security is not a static system. It continuously adapts to changes in the U.S. inflation rate, life expectancy, and other relevant factors. Although specific changes won't be announced by the SSA until October, there are several changes that will take effect in 2024. The most anticipated change is the cost of living adjustment, which is an annual increase intended to keep the pace with the rising cost of living. Due to high inflation, though, people are having questions about it. In 2023, beneficiaries reached the highest COLA in 41 years, but the COLA for 2024 is expected to be more modest. The nonpartisan senior advocacy group, the Senior Citizens League, estimated that the COLA for 2024 would be 3%. For the average retired worker, though, receiving $1,900 would mean an additional $55 per month next year. Unfortunately, though, the purchasing power of Social Security benefits have been declining regularly since the start of the century, and any increase actually won't even adequately address the estimated loss in purchasing power that is experienced by seniors since 2000. Another change for the upcoming year involves high-earning workers who will see an increase in payroll taxes due to a rise in the maximum taxable earnings cap. The payroll tax contributes about 90% of the program's revenue, and only about 6% of workers reach the maximum taxable earnings cap a year. Additionally, high earners collect Social Security benefits. They may experience a large monthly payout, as the maximum monthly benefit amount at a full retirement age is expected to rise in 2024. To qualify for the maximum Social Security benefit, you must meet 3 criteria. You must be the retirement age of full, work at least 35 years, and reach or surpass the maximum taxable earnings cap at all 35 years used in calculation.
I recognize the gentleman from New York, Mr. Jacobs, for 5 minutes.
Thank you very much, and thank you to all the panelists and Speaker Gingrich for being here today. This is a very critical issue for the future of our nation and our young people. I served for over 7 years on the Buffalo School Board, so kind of a lot of my tone here will be with that experience, but certainly it highlighted for me the significance of what you're talking about today. I can't recall the exact statistics, but I do remember our kindergartners and our pre-K kids coming in with a significant number of them already needing remedial help because of the fact that they had oral language deficiencies and the other basic building blocks that are required for them to be able to learn to read. And so this is a very important issue. Mr. Malek, I just wanted to ask one question. Your testimony
Round of the Crisis Essential Premium Pay Program is about to begin. The amounts to $165 million, funded through federal crisis relief dollars. Checks will be mailed automatically to eligible Massachusetts residents. In the first round of the program in March, distributed $500 checks to about 480,000 people. Officials said that people who received those payments are not eligible for this latest stimulus funding. Also not eligible are those who received unemployment benefits in 2021 or a crisis relief linked payment from the Massachusetts state government as their employer. The Baker administration will gauge eligibility for the programs second based on 2021 tax returns. The criteria encompasses individuals who earned at least. The bill will boost the refundable tax credit from $2,000 to $4,500 for families with children under the age of 6, and $3,500 for families with children 6 to 17. Unlike the crisis of the version, parents would actually have to be employed to be eligible for the refund. Another provision would retroactively expand the child tax credit to unborn children, and parents would be able to claim the credit from the year prior. The bill would also make the adoption tax credit fully refundable, and that credit is worth up to $15,000 in the current tax year for adoptions finalized in 2022. Other measures in the proposed package include an option allowing parents to draw from their Social Security to finance up to 3 months of paid parental leave, and enhancing certain benefits for new mothers. It also includes incentives for states to set up a guideline on fathers paying for part of a woman's pregnancy costs and would cost forced operation with any child support requirements.
And according to the President's Council of Economic Advisors,
Under a new bill,
the
millions
crisis
of older
rather than Biden's
Americans could
economic
lose the
policies
food
and stimulus
stamps.
package
Lawmakers
is the
in
real
the House
cause
have
of
already
inflation.
proposed a bill that's going to make it harder
$2
for
trillion
Americans to
package
qualify.
from the American Rescue
Some
Plan already
retirees may be
passed.
forced to
Yes,
return to work,
the United
or
States
risk
had
of even
inflation,
losing the
but so did other
benefits.
countries.
So now,
did not
this
have
is
the
really
same
important
policy.
news, everybody,
So the
that you have to
inflation
know.
real cause was
People
the
in every
global
state would be
crisis, and that is
impacted
but
if
the
the proposal
resiliency
becomes
of our
law.
global
Although
supply
residents of
chains.
Alaska,
So let's see what
South
Joe Biden
Carolina,
can
and
do in
Oklahoma
2024.
will be the hardest hit by this. According to the study on Center of Budget and Policy Priorities, the analysis is based on the number of households in those states that would fall under new work requirements like older adults and families with children over 7. He's a Republican from South Dakota, and more than 20 other Republican lawmakers who introduced the bill say the America Works Act is needed to get more food stamp recipients back in the workforce. But research has shown that most recipients of SNAP that can work are already working. So far, the Republican bill is unlikely to make into law anytime soon, given that the Senate is controlled by the Democrats. Yet the push reflects efforts by GOP lawmakers to trim the spending and benefit programs like food stamps too. Almost 1 in 3 residents who currently receive food stamps in Alaska, South Carolina, Oklahoma would be at risk of losing their SNAP. The least impacted recipients would be those in Washington, Idaho, and Vermont, where about 1 in 5 people are at risk of losing the food stamps, and that's something that's not good, because SNAP already has work requirements, and currently they're aimed at the so-called able-bodied adults. Under these rules, able adults are people who are not disabled, who don't have dependents, and who are already between 18 and 49. Plus, they must work 20 hours a week, or they must enroll in a work training program to receive food stamps. Under the GOP proposal, these work requirements would be expanded to adults between 50 and 65, which the lawmakers say they would align the program with Medicare. About 4 million children between 7 to 18 who live in households receiving food stamps could be at risk of losing the food aid, and 3 million adults with children or dependents could lose their benefits too, while another 2 million people between 50 to 64 who don't have dependents could lose access to food stamps. Many Americans are familiar with the 30% rule, which dictates that housing costs should never eat up more than 30% of your household. But it turns out the old rule of thumb has become unattainable for those that reside in an apartment these days. For the first time ever, American renters are spending that astronomical percentage or more. Moody's Analytics calls it a rent burden. Meanwhile, high mortgage rates have prevented Americans from making the leap from renter to homeowner. That in turn has meant a much shorter rental unit shortage, moving landlords to raise prices. This could spell disaster for more than 5 million households that are already behind the rent, owing an average of $2,000 in some areas. But according to Yahoo News, they own an estimated $11 billion in total rent debt. In some states, residents are already paying a little over a third of the salary on rent alone. In Massachusetts, Florida, New York, Americans spend over 30% of their income, respectively, on rent. And Moody's Analytics report that Florida in particular saw a substantial jump in rental cost, 4.2% over the last 3 years. And that's not helping the seniors that are in need of stimulus cash.
Underperformed among independents and moderates because their impression of many of the people in our party and leadership roles is that they're engulfed in chaos